Hello there everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Phantasy Star 2. Compared to before, we are breezing through the game at incredible speed. We are already nearly done with the second act of the game after it took us, several months at the end of it, admittedly with massive breaks in between, to be the first act. To be fair, it always looked like it was significantly shorter, but even so, it turns out when you've got some extra game knowledge and you're having to spend far less time grinding in between dungeons, the game becomes a lot quicker. Now, the only dungeon that we have left on Motavia, this planet, is the Green Dam. And to prepare for it, I have gone and stocked up on plenty of trimates. We are going in well prepared. Though before we begin, I am going to say that compared to compared to every dungeon prior to this point, I don't think I'm going to be quite as facetious with grabbing everything in the dungeon. I'm going to show you where the important stuff is, but there are a couple of items in this dungeon that are frankly kinda useless at this stage, so just don't bother collecting them. And this will become a thing from the rest of this point on. We're at a point where we really don't need everything that a dungeon will provide. They're just not worthwhile. The massive trek, they often do reserve the longest treks for the most worthless equipment. It's just not worth it anymore. So from this point on, I'm not going to show you how to 100% dungeons. I'm going to show you how to complete dungeons efficiently, to get all of the worthwhile items and to beat it, but I'm not going to show you everything. Case in point, there is a very long trip in this dungeon, the Green Dam, to get something called a telepipe. You can buy it for something like 20 Meseta in any store in the game, and it is a massive out-of-the-way trek, by far the longest in the dungeon. Just do not bother with it, and we're going to skip it today. But to get to the Green Dam, unlike the last two where we had to go to Query, we are staying here in Paseo. We're going through a section of the map that we haven't touched for a fairly long time at this point, ever since the first few episodes of the game. You can see the Green Dam there, but unfortunately we cannot enter it from the land. To get there, we instead have to go north, quite far north. And I should also clarify that in this dungeon I am going to be using this trick to avoid random encounters. The inspect the ground to reset enemy encounter rates. It's a very good... It's not perfect. As you saw there, we do sometimes end up in a fight anyway. But it does work very often, and it's very good. Especially in this dungeon, where I frankly cannot be arsed. I'm just going to use that to avoid getting into every fight. Make things go by a bit quicker. Hopefully things wrap up pretty quickly. Ooh, I need to remember to set Kane to use his new item. In the last episode he got a new armor piece that lets him cast a technique for free, and that's much better than his basic attack. I haven't been using this technique that I've known about for quite a while, just because I frankly thought it was more tedious than it actually is. But it's just a 2-button presses, and it's much faster than getting through all of the enemies and stuff. So just use that if you don't want to bother fighting things. Ooh, I haven't actually sold everything this guy is finished using. But as always, we use the green card to get inside the dam, and from this point on, we are following a map. I have to say that compared to the last few dungeons, this one seems like it's going to be quite a bit simpler. It seems the difficulty here is how it is in a lot of other RPGs, where the difficulty comes from the enemies you're fighting, and not from the dungeon itself. In any other RPG, you'd go like, well, duh, obviously, but that is not a given in this game. In most cases, the difficulty of a dungeon just comes in how long and tedious and how much backtracking you're doing to get anywhere. But here's our first chest, the first of the 4 out of 5 we're going to bother getting. They are the truth sleeves, which are, if I remember correctly, items for seer. They're not great because they're a sealed rather than a basic weapon, which means that they're pretty worthless for attacking. But like a lot of the other items we're collecting at this point, they can be used to cast a technique for free. So they are good in that form. Oh, I forgot that I need to set... Okay, actually, we're fighting a single opponent. Maybe it will be worthwhile him just using a basic technique. High Solid. These guys are going to be the upgrade to the enemies from the first dungeon that I found really annoying and tedious to fight because they're just so tanky despite not actually being that interesting to fight. Kay needs a heal. Rudo can probably go without it. We'll heal him up quickly. Why not? Let's be nice to him. Techniques, Rolf, Rez, Rudo, and Kane. King could probably do it too, but I think we only need the one for now. Again, we're trying to be conservative with the fighting we're doing this time. The point is, we're going through this corridor above us. We're basically just following the path up. And there should be a teleporter up in this corner here. Not that one down there. Yep, there it is. Over that teleport, that's teleport number 4. We are now back on the first floor. Pretty simple path to the next one. There is in fact nowhere else you can go. You just go through this corridor. Over the teleporter. Boom. Now this is the point that if you wanted to go bother going for a really long trek, you can, to go and grab yourself a telepipe. You would need to head downwards, following the path. There's pretty much nowhere you can go. And then on the first floor you would head, and then when you get to teleport number 6, you would go right around a spiral, and you find the telepipe and it's just there. But we're not bothering to do that because it's really long and tedious. It's completely unnecessary for an item that has become redundant pretty much straight away if we have even really rudimentary TP management on Rolf's behalf. It just lets us get out of a dungeon. And I mean, that's kinda half of why Rolf is so good, because he lets us just teleport out to a dungeon unit using the Hinas ability as soon as we're done. So, just a completely unnecessary item from this point on. We can skip it completely. Now we should realistically be grinding our characters out here, but seeing as it looks like we're actually going to swap some of them out soon enough at the end of this episode, ready for the next episode, I don't really see the point of it. I'd rather just get through the dungeon quicker instead of getting into all of these fights. Because again, if you haven't played Phantasy Star 2, you can probably guess a little bit from watching this footage just how unbelievably tedious the game can be. But actually playing it's a whole other issue. It's so unbelievably boring fighting anything. Nothing actually does anything interesting to you. It's not like the game has elemental matchups that require you to do some sort of rock, paper, scissors thing. It's not like any enemies have actually interesting abilities. The only thing that separates enemies is that sometimes they can only attack one party member, and other times they can attack multiple party members. So all that means is sometimes you need to heal all of your party members, and sometimes you only need to heal one. That's not interesting. That's really dull. And you know what I keep forgetting to do? I keep forgetting to set Kane to use his new item. Come on, Kane. Nope. It's in there, and then it's the Storm Gear. If he uses that, he throws out a technique, a pretty powerful one. Again, we found out in the last episode that actually people keep their orders intact between episodes, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we'll use one of our Troy mates on Rolf once we finish off these Twigmen. They're a pretty annoying enemy for how common they are. They do a lot of damage. Right, Trimate on Rolf. There we are. It's easier than using the Gyres or whatever. By the end of this dungeon, we'll actually have 2 party members who are able to use Gyres at the during battle, which means that we could probably stick one of them just on Gyres healing duties constantly, and that should hopefully, unlike last time where it turns out that the item was only equipable by Rudo, and as such, we didn't want to use one of our big damage dealers on healing during a fight. Because that's no longer required, we can hopefully make healing a bit faster because we can do it during a fight. And again, it is still a bit tedious having to do this whole reset the enemy encounter rate as you're progressing, but compared to what you would have to do otherwise, it's great. I'd do it any day of the week. Now to progress, we would head left, but to get a pretty powerful item, much more worthwhile than bothering with a telepipe, we're going to head to the right, dealing with these gammas. I imagine that's supposed to be fire gamma, if not shortened, and a monster. Hopefully we can actually see Kane use his technique this time. Whoop. Doing a lot of damage. Again, if worse comes to worse, we can get Rudo to heal during a fight now. Let's maybe get him to do that just to see, see it in action, if nothing else. Especially because this is a group of enemies that the other characters can actually deal some damage to. Unlike most of the others where they're just doing nothing. If we come in here and we grab the Crescent Gear, I believe Rudo can only heal himself using it. Which, from the way that this next item we're going to collect is described, doesn't seem to be the case with what we're going to equip to Kane. But it is something worth mentioning. But as you can see, we can now heal during a fight without using TP or items, which is of course very good for us. Makes things a lot faster, a lot easier. It's just a bit of a shame that only, at the end of the day, only Rudo can get the benefit because he can't target anyone else with it. But seeing as he is our tank, it is good that he does have a self-healing ability. He doesn't have to rely on Rolf doing it for him. Now in this fight, because the attack mechs are one of the enemies with who are very tanky, we're just going to set Rudo back to his basic attacks. Because look, everyone else is only doing like 7 or 14 damage. Rudo is the only one dealing decent damage to them. Because he's the only one using guns which are not affected by the defense or attack of the characters that are wielding it or getting attacked by it. So against a lot of these robots who have really high defense that stop characters from being able to do much to them, it's a godsend having Rudo in our party. And annoyingly, it looks like everyone's going to need some healing now, so I'll see you guys in just a moment. There we are, everyone's more or less fully healed. They're as healed as they need to be at the very least. Well, we can now continue heading down here, around this water pool, and it should be, there we are, the Aegis, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it. Point is, powerful shield type weapon that allows the wielder to use the Gyres technique every time they use it in battle. We could equip it to pretty much any other male characters, but we are going to equip it to Kane on account of the fact that because of the storm gear he's going to be attacking, he's not going to be using his weapons anyway, so we might as well put it on him, because then we're not going to be losing out on the attack power of other characters because of it. It does mean that we're going to have to choose between using this technique or using the Aegis at any given time, but that's a, that's a fine conundrum to have. It does also make him slightly more survivable, makes him a bit tankier, so hopefully we're not going to have to heal him as much to begin with. Oh. Ooh, these guys are nasty. Remember last time? I think we're going to be using a couple of our trimates after this fight. But let's see how it goes. They're tanky and very damaging at the same time, so kind of a nightmare, especially when characters are missing their powerful attacks. Wonderful. My jaw hurts on the right side, so it's kinda pains me to talk at a lot of the points at the moment, but here we are. Let's fight out these vans. Again, none of the enemies we really have to change our technique for. I mean, it's not like we really can at the end of the day anyway. It's not like the game's robust enough to really give us any other options than just hitting characters a lot. But yeah, we just have to sit here and watch them slowly get whittled down by our party until... There we are. We'll use a trimate. Was it Rudo that was really damaged? Yeah, use a trimate on him. I think everyone else should be fine. Grab a trimate, my guy. Use Rudo. There we are. Progress back up to teleport number 7 to continue. Past the water pools, and then it's just that one in the corner there. I'm so glad we found out about this exploit. It makes things so much faster. I mean, still a little bit tedious. At the end of the day, you kind of just hope for a lot of the features that a lot of the later re-releases of this game came out with, that made things just altogether a lot more streamlined. It's a lot faster, it's a lot less tedious. Things like increased meseta and experience gain, and turbo mode that makes it so that the game just progresses faster. We unfortunately don't have that because we're playing this on the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Classics collection, which are very authentic versions of the games. I think they're all just direct ROMs, so none of them really have any of the quality of life features that later re-releases would come out with, which makes things a bit tedious, as I'm constantly going on about. But it does mean that we are technically playing the most authentic version of the game you can probably get on PC format, because I imagine a lot of even fan-made ROMs are going to be adding those quality of life features. Could download a mod if I knew what I was doing. That should make things a bit easier, but I'm too lazy for that. I tried downloading a ROM on The Revenge of Shinobi on this version of the game. That would hopefully increase the timing on the double jump, because that is going to be a miserable game to play later on in this series of playthroughs, because I cannot get the double jump timing down on that, and pretty much immediately the game expects you to. But we'll figure it out. Green sleeves. You can equip this to a number of characters in the same way that we could equip the seal to all of the male characters. We can equip this set of sleeves to basically all of the female characters. We could give it to Anna, but because it takes up an attack slot, I think we're just going to stick to what we already have, to be honest. We're going to keep her with 2 sets of slashers for extra, to get 2 attacks out per turn. Now there are 2 teleporters in this corner here. One of them progresses forward, and that's the one further down, but we're going to go on this one first because there is a good item to collect this way, past all of this water. Oh, we reset our enemy encounter rate and then immediately ended up in an encounter anyway. And it's a set of attack mechs, so we can guarantee a long and tedious healing session afterwards. Wonderful. Unless they miss all of their attacks, which clearly is not the case today. Hopefully they are taken out quickly though. If Rudo actually lands their attack. Oh, for crying out loud. Oh, but they get taken out anyway. Not too bad. We'll use a trimate on Rolf, and then heal. Just use a basic res on Kane, I reckon. Yeah, that's how we'll do it. then Tech, Rolf, Rez, Kane. There we are. Right, round these water pools. It is a dam at the end of the day. Plenty of water to go around. Too much water, not enough water. The whole reason we're unlocking these dams is because the main central lake of Matavia is at risk of flooding, and there's a lot of surrounding cities. So that's the reason we're having to unlock the dams again. But I'm not entirely sure how a dam works in real life, so I don't know whether unlocking them to stop the flooding will cause more water to end up in the dam or less. Who knows? Right, and then I think it's going to be a Trimate on Kane. I realised too late how low he was. I would have changed him to use his Aegis and try and get a healing spell out that way. But did a bit late. We'll use one of Anna's Trimates, why not? But finally we can open the chest. It's a Star Mist, very powerful healing item. Better even than the Trimates. We can't buy them yet. I think you can buy them by the end of the game, but for now they remain unavailable to us. Right, back to fighting, I guess. Kane will try and use the Aegis and hope that he can heal Anna using it. Otherwise, that's going to be another Trimate to use at the end of the dungeon. Kane, please use your Aegis. Doesn't look like we can set it to heal a particular party member. Great! Oh, that's dangerous. We're in a very dangerous position. Oh, please get them out of the way quickly. Oh, I'm just going to have to hope that they don't fight Anna, because if they move first, then they... Oh, great. Wonderful. Ooh, that was close. If they had hit Anna, that would be her gone. Not Tech, we'll just use Trimates. Use on Anna, and I think it was Rolf as well that needs healing, yeah. There we are. Nice set of healing. Again, keep going the way we came. Round the water pools again. Through the teleporter. Down this teleporter. That's teleport number 9. Quick journey this one. We just go around the water pools and then it's that teleporter there. And then a straightforward journey to the end of the dungeon at this point. And we do, before we put our keycard in, we do want to make sure everyone's healed up fully. Because we are going to end up in another boss fight now. It doesn't look like a particularly dangerous fight, but even so, we want to make sure that all our characters are fully healed, just in case. The good news is we don't actually need to use... we don't actually need to conserve Rolf's TP for this either, because we're not, at the end of the day, going to be teleporting out to the dungeon at the end of it anyway. Oh, that's going to be another Trimate on Rolf, because it's cheaper than using the Guy Res. And then we'll res Rudo and Kane, I reckon. Maybe res Kane twice. I'll be honest, these Kulik 61 monster enemies, they're probably the most dangerous looking out of the entire security forces roster, but they're not that bad. They just deal a lot of damage. They deal a pretty middling amount of damage actually to a single party member, so compared to some other characters, some other enemies, I'll take that any day of the week. Right, Rolf once, heal Rudo with the res once, and then Kane twice. That's what we'll do. Rudo once. Kane twice. We are being a bit safer than we really need to be. we're going to be using quite a different strategy for the next fight compared to usual. Usually it's just a case of trying to maximize our damage dealing, but for once there is a slightly different concept at play. Only kind of because we know what's coming. We are going to save though, so first, before we do anything, Rolf Visiphone, use it. Data memory, 2,257 points, 13,008 points, 8,429 points, 2,074 points. Lots of experience. Point of fact. If we had bothered not resetting all of the enemy encounter rates as we progress, we'd probably be doing that all at one go. But we don't need to, we can just progress. Right, final dam. Penultimate dungeon of the second act of Phantasy Star 2. We put the green card into the console, the dam locks open, and rushing water is heard. And we immediately enter the third of 4 boss fights in the game against the Army Eyes. Now, this is a slightly different boss encounter to all the others in the game in that it is designed to be unwinnable. These guys will defeat you. Or technically they will arrest you. Point is that you're not going to kill them. Instead, what we need to do is try and survive. And that's why I say that we have a slightly different system to usual. Because instead of the usual idea of just trying to deal as much damage as possible, we're instead going to set Kane and Rudo to be healing themselves constantly. And then we'll get Rolf on standby. When needs be, we'll get Anna and Rolf to heal themselves. But yeah, there are 3 of these guys. At the end of the 3rd round of combat, you will be arrested and the battle will end. But each of these guys are 3,000 HP, and there is no way, using legitimate means, for you to defeat all of them in that time. There's no way you're dealing 9,000 damage across the board in the span of 3 turns in Phantasy Star 2. It's simply not possible. No matter how much you grind before you get to this stage, it's just not happening. And as you can see, combat is ended, we're trapped by plasma rings, we are arrested, and we are transported to a prison off-planet. This is the satellite Gala. There is no escape, you are in outer space. You are guilty of damaging the mother brain. You will be kept here until your death sentence is carried out. Ooh. I tried to open the dams because I felt responsible for making too much rainfall, but I was caught. I don't want to die here not even knowing who was trying to destroy Motavia by using the mother brain. So we are going to break out of the satellite Gala, but we should note, if we quickly check our equipment, that we have been somewhat pacified. We have lost all of our weapons, and that's the same for everyone. We cannot attack, we cannot use items. We're pretty much screwed. The only thing we can do as we progress... Can't even save. The only thing we can do as we progress is avoid taking damage. But luckily Gala is a pretty short dungeon. Pretty simple to get through, and with our technique to avoid getting into fights in the first place, hopefully it shouldn't be that bad. Right, got the map up. This is damaging. These are floors, like a lot of other dungeons in this game. Rudo hears a large explosion and feels a tremendous force moving the satellite. Ooh, scary. Rudo better check the control panel and fix the Gala's orbit. There is no extra items to be collected. You're just going to go straight to where you need to be with the shortest possible path. You are going to be taking damage. There's no way around it. There's no way for you to save as you progress. if you get into a fight, the only thing you can do is run away. So, you know, use this trick to avoid getting into a fight in the first place, because you cannot win against the enemies, despite the fact that they are quite weak. That is the one mercy you're given on this dungeon. You are fighting a set of weak enemies, so if you do get into a fight, they're not going to, like, wipe the floor with you, because you don't have armor and weapons. As we progress around this final corner, look like the encounter rate's pretty... I was going to say encounter rate's pretty low anyway, because we haven't fought anything yet, but fortunately, still not quite perfect. Run. Rodo and friend, run away. And successful. That's good. Right, I think one final... Yep, through this corridor. And then we're not that far away from the control panel. We go up here. Once again, take a mandatory damage. Nothing we can do about it. Don't worry about it. You can see the control panel there. Let's interact with it. We get another cutscene. Oh no, this satellite descends straight for Palmer? There's no time, what do we do? Screen goes black. Oh, dream sequence. Really handy time for you to start dreaming, Rolf. We're in a prison satellite about to crash into the capital planet of the solar system. You've got more important things to worry about. It's that same dream again. Help! For anyone somewhat confused by this is a similar dream sequence to what we had right at the start of the game. From what I can gather, they are the events of the first Phantasy Star game. Did I disturb you? I'm Tyler, a space pirate. I left Palmer long ago. Life under the Mother Brain was not to my liking. You were being held by Gala, right? It's good for you that I happen to be close by. Your friends are also being revived right now. They should awake any moment. It was terrible. This is all that is left of Palm. Ooh. One planet was destroyed. Who knows what happened to Algo? I don't know what to say. According to the news, you and your friends are criminals charged with destroying the Mother Brain. But I don't believe you could have done that, could you? Anyway, I'll take you to Paseo. I've already got your belongings loaded. Ah, I remember now. You're heading for Dezolis, I believe the full name for Dezo is. I've heard that there is someone there who can do things the Mother Brain can't. But he might be of a criminal nature. You never can tell. Well, until we meet again. Spoiler alert, we never meet Tyler again. He doesn't come up in the rest of the story as far as I can gather. But like before, we travel to the central governor's tower of the planet, who frankly is very, very happy to be chatting with a set of criminals who at this point have blown up an entire planet. Welcome back. I was worried sick about you. What? You're going to Dezolis without arrest? I see. You must have thought it out. Use the spaceship on the rooftop. But remember that you are still suspects. The Palmer incident has made them desperate. Who? We just blew up the government. I don't know who's still around to be desperate. Make sure you take care of yourselves. And so marks the somewhat dramatic, would be dramatic in a more advanced game, end to Chapter 2 out of 3 of Phantasy Star 2. The capital planet of the Algo system has been blown up. We are implicated in the certain death of probably thousands, if not millions of people. So, safe to say that whatever just happened there, we're going to have to clear our name, or else things are going to go very, very poorly for us. We are probably number one most wanted individuals in the solar system at the moment, and we have little way to prove ourselves as being not guilty. So, in Act 3, we are going to take the spaceship on top of the central tower, over to Dezolis, and we're going to begin our investigations there. But that's going to be for the next episode. For now, I'd like to say thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Tune in next time, but for now, adios and ciao.